So welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Liz from the growth team here at Dfinity, and this is an opportunity for you, the community, to hear from and interact with the people behind the most interesting developments in the internet computer ecosystem. So today it is my pleasure to introduce to you Stephen Andrews and Bob Bodley from Toniq Labs, who I'm sure needs no introduction whatsoever. So Toniq Labs is responsible for developer tooling and infrastructure, an NFT marketplace, gaming, and so much more within the ecosystem. So great to have you, Bob and Stephen, on the show. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, really good. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm also really excited to be here.
Absolutely. So glad to have you two on the show. So Stephen and Bob, do you want to give us a little bit of an introduction to all of the things that Toniq Labs is doing and how you guys both became interested in the internet computer?
Yeah, definitely. I've been working in the blockchain space for a number of years now. I decided me and a friend, Mac, we decided to start building a few tools on the internet computer earlier this year. We had this idea that we've been working on for a while, Rise of the Magni, which was this game that we really wanted to get running on a blockchain. And we decided that we would finally stop delaying and start building it this year. But we just couldn't really find a suitable platform to build it on. We were looking at things like Engine and Immutable X, but both those platforms had the limitation of both being built on top of something like Ethereum. And we came across the internet computer and just saw the potential to build something that was native directly on top of the blockchain, and it would be a single kind of level 1 solution as opposed to building like a side chain or an L2 solution on top of Ethereum. We pretty much just started building. We started with the wallet. We found out that there wasn't many wallets available back then. Plug was in development, we kind of just released what we were using internally, and then after that we moved on to working on this NFT platform, and then from there we started experimenting with the Chronix project, and then Entrepro, our NFT marketplace, and things kind of just ballooned from there. So it's been a really fun journey. It's been really great getting to know the community and getting to build these awesome tools, and we just look forward to the future.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like absolutely relentless. You've contributed so much in so many different categories, as you've mentioned, to the internet computer ecosystem. So Bob, how did you become involved with Toniq Labs?
Yeah, so I started hearing about Dfinity and the internet computer back in 2017, but that's because I went to college with Jordan Last MJS on Twitter, if you know him. And so he had, he was this little bird in my ear, like, hey, this thing's going to be really cool. You got to check it out. And I was resistant, and it took me a few years. Finally, mainnet launch came, Genesis in May of this year, and I could finally do things on the blockchain. I could buy ICP, I could stake it. I voted on my first governance proposal, and I was hooked. Like, I couldn't not do things on the internet computer. So I built the ICP guide. I noticed that, we needed more non-technical documentation. And so built the ICP guide, and then got involved with the ICP Maximalist Network, which is probably one of the most robust Telegram groups on the internet computer. And then from there, it kind of just got sucked into what Toniq Labs was doing with Chronix and with NFTs, and helping out with the community. And one of our big announcements today, I'm officially joining Toniq Labs. I'll be joining as the Chief Product Officer. So really, really excited to join Stephen and the crew at Toniq to build out and reimagine the future of NFTs on the internet computer, and all the other fun projects we're working on. So that's a little bit of my backstory.
Wow. Okay. So a couple of things here. First of all, Bob, I didn't know you went to college with Jordan. I was like, two Utah guys in the internet computer ecosystem.
Yeah,
What's in the water over in Utah?
yeah.
And second of all, congratulations on becoming Chief Product Officer. That's super exciting. I'm really, really excited to see what comes out of Toniq Labs in the coming months. So, Stephen and Bob, you guys have a very cute sort of metaverse meet cute story. Do you guys want to tell the crowd about it?
Yeah, I think I'll take this story. So Stephen and I first kind of connected over Seb's metaverse game. So this was Discover Hackathon 1, and Seb put out this metaverse game, but didn't tell anyone there was like a secret single ICP hidden in it. But you go to a locker and the locker shows you that there's an ICP in there. So some people started poking around and realized there's a whole next level to the game. And so there are these secret codes you have to find. So me and Steven spent, I think it was like 1 a.m. my time, and for 4 hours we were just hacking on this game, trying to find the codes. You had to find 4 different codes hidden in the game, and they're very tricky to find. Like this is not a casual kind of find the codes by, just clicking things. You have to dig. So finally, Stephen and I both had found 3 codes, and we thought, oh, the 4th code's probably just hidden in like the quiz feature. But then I messaged him on Twitter, and it wasn't. The 4th code was actually hidden in the game. So Stephen and I were doing this mad race to the finish. And then finally, I vanquished Stephen in the Metaverse Challenge and won the ICP to be immortalized on the locker. So that was our first bonding moment.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very fun.
Wow, that is super impressive. I do have to say that I spent a lot of time trying to find that one ICP, and I had absolutely no success whatsoever. So, Stephen, do you want to tell us the origin behind the name Toniq Labs? Why did you choose that name?
Yeah, it was actually pretty simple. I really liked words ending with IC just because it kind of made sense with the internet computer, hence Stoic Wallet and the Chronic project. But Toniq Labs was taken as a domain. So I thought adding a Q would look quite cool. So we end up with Toniq Labs. And it's stuck. I really love the name. It's probably one of the best names I've chosen kind of randomly over the last few years. So I'm really happy.
Definitely. So, with Toniq Labs, you guys are involved with so many different areas, like I mentioned before, developer tooling and infrastructure, NFTs, gaming, and so much more to come in the future, I'm sure. Is there any specific vertical that you'd want to hone on into the future? Or do you envision Toniq Labs always being generous in terms of having a finger in every pie?
Yeah, I think the aim for us is we are currently going through a seed round. We want to raise those funds and then put focus on all the projects that we currently have in front of us at the moment. And then I think what would happen is, use demand and things like that would pretty much show us which projects are the ones that we should put more focus on. If it does turn out that all the projects we have great potential, which we do think they do, then we would probably be more of a general thing. We may spin off separate companies to cater for different parts of it. But if there's like a clear standout regarding which project to focus on, then that's probably what we'd move towards. But yeah, we want to try and be involved with all of our projects and continue to build them more. And it'll be interesting to see how these next few months play out.
And Stephen, I think you had a really great way of summarizing what you guys are up to at Toniq Lab. So I think you had mentioned that you're kind of like OpenSea, but building games like Axie, but also building developer tooling like Consensus. So Stephen and Bob, what are you guys working on now? What does the future have in store for Toniq Labs?
Yeah, so last over the weekend I actually got a bit bored and I wanted to start a new project. I already know there's so much we've got on our plate at the moment, but this is something that we probably need to start building anyway. I tweeted it out. It's good, Project Renegade, but I'll share my screen and we can kind of go through the demo for it now. And the idea is that we'd have this live for the public sometime later today. So I'll just share my screen. sorry for someone who's a developer. I'm actually pretty bad at working screen sharing.
Now you're building up the suspense. Now we're really excited to see it.
Yeah, I think this is how I do it. Can you guys see that?
Yep, we can see it.
All right, so we've for a while wanted to build out a dashboard for the Chronic project, so people can actually start using it instead of using the wallet to do things with. So this is what the Chronic dashboard looks like so far. This is just running locally, so we shouldn't get anyone trying to figure out what the URL is and access it. So first you can connect your wallet. I'm just going to connect to Stoic. In future, we will allow connection with Plug as well. And I know that Plug are adding NFT support for some of our NFTs too. So it'll work really well. You know, it'll become more of a wallet agnostic application. So this is kind of what we envision the dashboard looking like. You can view your Chronics. You can, this one's actually set up as a sire, which is kind of like, it's breeding, but I'm just going to cancel it for now. So we can remove the wearables. So we developed about a month or so ago the ability to use other NFTs as wearables. So I've just stripped this one of all of its wearables, and then you can go through and add new ones. Change the hairstyle and things like that. So all of this is done on chain. So I can, for example, make my Chronic look like this. You can manage marketplace listings. So if you wanted to list and sell through the Entrepreneur marketplace, you can do that through here as well. And then there's also this new button called Sire Chronic. And the idea is that if you wanted other people to breed with one of your Chronics, you could add them to the Sire program, set a fee, and then that person would need to pay that fee to breed with you. So this is kind of what the screen looks like. We have a test Chronic token that we're using at the moment called TCRN, and there's the faucet here. So users will be able to tap into this faucet when they get access to this application. And as you see at the top, it increased our balance. We can actually use this to buy from the wearable store. We've added a completely new wearable item called big glasses. So you can actually go ahead and buy some of those as well. And then you can go and add them to one of your Chronics. I think I already bought a set earlier to test with, so now I've got two. But yeah, it kind of shows where we're wanting to go with the Chronic project to be able to sell wearables. In the future, our mini games will be accessible from here too. At the moment, these aren't connected, so they're just for show for now. And coming next month, we plan to actually have those available. There's also the marketplace, which just goes through to Entrepreneur, so you can actually buy some Chronics yourself. As an example, I'm going to just buy this little pirate thing over here. Let's complete that, and then hopefully that shows eventually. That should come through very soon. And then I want to show the breeding functionality. So we've enabled virtual breeding. So you can actually breed Chronics, generate a new one, and continue the breeding process. All breed NFTs will be burnt prior to our official launch in October. They are just for testing purposes. But you can kind of see how the breeding process works, and it gives us a chance to play around with the breeding settings as well. And the idea is that eventually, prior to launch, we'll burn all of the bred NFTs, and anyone with one would receive some type of airdrop of the official CRN token. So that's just come through. Let me just refresh, and we should have, I think it's still, issue. Okay, so we should have the new pirate Chronic down here, bottom screen. And let's try breeding him with one of these other ones. So let's choose 2 parents. And it gives us a cost for the breeding process and the generation of the offspring. The reason that this parent costs more, if we go to it, you can't see here, but this parent's already bred once before. So for every consecutive breeding session, the cost actually increases. So let's start the breeding process. It does take a little while, but it's actually faster than I thought before developing and testing this. So it's pretty quick. But yeah, here we go. So we've officially bred a new one, and this is our new little guy down here, bottom right. You can see some of the stats, and then you can go back to the parents and see. So, you know, picked up this 2 as a recessive gene, which means that it should have picked up the 57 from this guy. This, as you can see, cannot breed for another 50 minutes. That is because this one, this is a consecutive breed as well. So, for example, the one down here, that's also 50 minutes, but some of them might be as low as 4 minutes or 5 minutes. So yeah, those are some of the settings that we were playing around with in the background as well. Breeding delay, consecutive breeding delay, and then breeding costs, and things like that. But yeah, we hope that the community would really start playing around with this. It's pretty much ready to go. Just a few maybe graphical fixes to the screen. We may add some sound effects as well to make it sound a little bit cooler. But yeah, it's kind of what we have, and we're really looking forward to seeing what the public, the feedback from the public.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was just going to recap really quick. So we're doing a testing breeding phase over the next month or so, where you can actually go in, you can breed your chronics as much as you want. You can get, you can use the test faucet to get as much test CRN that you want. Everything will be burned at launch. So test CRN is not worth anything except to breed chronics for the next month. Anything that you breed in the next month will be burned at launch, and you will receive some amount of the actual CRN token at launch. So that's kind of the next month process that we're using for breeding to kind of test things out and see how it works.
Yeah, that's right. And the CRN token will be used for quite a lot of things within the Tonic, the Chronic ecosystem, from buying wearables. It's what you earn playing the mini games. It's what you pay to breed or as a fee for siring. And we also want to incorporate it with the marketplace, so you can actually purchase chronics and chronic wearables from the marketplace directly using CRN as well.
Well, I will say that the chat is completely abuzz. People are really, really excited for this new upcoming breeding feature. So in terms of breeding, if you have 2 rare chronics, will they definitely breed a rare chronic as well?
I guess you need to define rare, but yeah, all genes are passable, can pass on. There is a rare aspect with the animation. We haven't decided how we want those animations to pass on. We are leaning toward there being a sort of lottery system, but if one of the parents already have an animation, they have like an extra chance of gaining that through breeding as well. So yeah, but other than that, all the other traits do pass through from breeding, especially battle traits. I think people will be selectively breeding chronics to generate really strong battle participants. It'll be really cool to see what people can generate that way.
Cool. That's really interesting. And so it reminds me, obviously, a lot of CryptoKitties. And I was wondering with the chronics, if you are able to breed the chronics, will that be inflationary to the overall supply of chronics, thereby driving down the price?
Yeah, so we have we've released details regarding the supply in the past, but I'll quickly kind of overview how it works. So generation zero chronics are what we are considering to be the most rare type of chronic you can have, and that we're referring to them as eternal breeders, because they've got no limit to how many times that they can breed to create a new chronic. Every other generation after the initial generation actually becomes sterile after a number of breeding sessions. For example, generation one will become sterile after 7 breeding attempts. And then later generations actually have a lower count as well. So generation 5, when a generation 5 chronic is born, it's actually born sterile. So in terms of having viable breeders, generation 0 would be the only kind of breeders that you'd really want if you wanted to run a breeding farm. And then another mechanic we are using is an increasing cost and an increasing time delay for consecutive breeds as well. So it becomes more of a time and cost issue if you wanted to continue to breed. And the final mechanic that we're actually utilizing is a burn mechanic where users can sacrifice a chronic that they don't want anymore and actually burn it from existence. And this would decrease the time delay to breed again. So if they wanted to really start breeding some of their stronger chronics, but they have a large time delay, they can start burning their low quality ones just so that they can begin to breed again. And I think these kind of mechanics mixed with the settings that we come to after testing how breeding works should create a really good kind of economic setup with how the supply is controlled, and we're really looking forward to that. And then the final thing that we want to do is actually any of these recycled products that people may decide to burn, we want to feed them back into the ecosystem eventually to new users. We're thinking of creating some kind of tutorial which is quite time consuming and wouldn't be worth abusing, but would allow new users to kind of get to grips with how things work. And the reward would be one of these recycled chronics. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and we think that the supply and token mechanics that we've come up with should really ensure that the project remains viable, and I think that generation 0 chronics will always retain a decent value compared to future generations.
Cool. So Stephen and Bob, where can people find this part of the website to be able to breed their chronics, and when can they start breeding?
Yeah, so this application will be going live today. We'll release the link over on Twitter and in our Telegram group. So if you're not already following us on Twitter, please do, or join our Telegram group. I think the link is on our Twitter account or in our Discord channel. But yeah, we'll start pumping out that link as soon as we get this uploaded.
Okay, amazing. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it. So, Bob, quick question for you. As we all know, the IC Punks recently had a launch, and it was really amazing to see almost 200,000 users try to redeem one of the 10,000 clown NFTs. So IC Punks in their marketing, they did say that they were the first NFTs on the internet computer. Bob, you wrote a really great thread, I think, summarizing the chronology of NFTs within the IC ecosystem. Would you mind repeating that for the crowd today?
Yeah, happy to go through it. I'm just pulling up my notes right now. There were a number of different points, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss any of them.
Yeah, it was a very well-researched thread.
Okay, so IC Punks were the first NFT project to receive a Dfinity grant. That is true. Toniq Labs minted and released the first set of NFTs on the internet computer with the Chronics. Toniq Labs held the first auction of an NFT because I was there. I was doing the auctioning, and that was a really fun night. If you weren't there, Toniq Labs created the first marketplace for NFTs on the internet computer. IC Punks are the largest NFT drop on the internet computer so far, 10,000, and all free. So no minting cost, which is not very common for NFTs, especially if you come from the Ethereum ecosystem. Then a few things about Plug. Plug integrated the EXT standard, at least the fungible token component. They're currently working on the non-fungible token component, but not quite yet. The first free NFT on the internet computer, I think now goes to Stars and the Starverse, because you just had to be an early Discover user in order to get one. Let's see. Are IC Punks the first standard to add marketplace features inside of the actual NFT? That one's unknown. Steven's been doing it for a while now with the NFTs with our EXT standard. So that one's kind of up for grabs. So that's kind of the rundown of, all the fun NFT things on the IC so far.
Definitely. It's been such a vibrant ecosystem, especially considering that the internet computer really only launched in May. So super interesting to see. And, there's room for everybody, I think, in the space. So Stephen, I had a community conversation with Harrison Hines from Flake, and we were chatting around NFT standards for the internet computer. So essentially, Harrison was saying that because Ethereum is the dominant ecosystem at the moment, that it is really important for NFTs on the internet computer to be able to be compatible with Ethereum NFT standards. So in your view, do you think that we should be more Ethereum centric within the internet computer ecosystem as it pertains to NFT standards, or should we develop our own independent NFT standard and ecosystem, or both?
Yeah, definitely. I firstly just want to send a shout out to the guys over at Fleek and Plug. I'm a huge follower and user of their tools, and I think what they're doing is amazing. I love the Fleek interface as well. So, I hope to continue to work in the ecosystem alongside them. And I already chat currently with some of their devs, which is really great. And I think Harrison's a great guy as well. So, really looking forward to how the ecosystem's going to play out. Regarding NFT standards, I totally understand where Harrison's coming from. I think there is a way forward. It's probably not, I probably don't share the same opinion. We can always bolt on an interface to be able to work with an Ethereum interface. I just think we've got the chance at the moment to actually redevelop how things should work, and I don't think we should be basing the type of things that we develop on something like an Ethereum blockchain, which is not the same as the IC. The IC has a lot more potential. It's kind of a different kind of paradigm. So in that regards, I think you kind of need to respect that and add kind of different functionality. But I totally agree with the whole idea of sideways support. So we would always bolt on support for ERC 721. And I think that makes sense too. But I totally get where Harrison's coming from. And I think that there's a way forward that we can still utilize the things that come with working on the IC and still be able to support other off-chain NFT standards too. I think it will be really interesting. I say this all the time, and I probably should stop saying it, but I think we've only been in the IC for 4 months now since it's launched. But I think the next months and years actually we'll see some really great changes and some awesome developments and innovations coming from the IC community and developers involved in the ecosystem.
Definitely. And I know there are a lot of different NFT standards that are emerging currently within the internet computer ecosystem. At some point in the future, I would love to do a community conversation that focuses on like an NFT standard setting panel. I think there's a lot of very, very different opinions in the space around the subject, as you were talking about, Stephen. So definitely more to come on that front. So, Bob, you had a really, really interesting Twitter thread that blew up around the different use cases of NFTs. Do you want to walk through what those use cases are and what you're most excited by?
Yeah, maybe I'll just talk about a few of them, because I could talk for a really long time about some of these ideas, but I won't make you suffer through that. Let's see. One really interesting idea is the business in an NFT idea. So there's a website called MicroAcquire, and the whole purpose is take a website that's generating $100 or $1,000 in revenue per month and list it and get someone to buy it for 7 to 10x revenue. So you might sell, $1,000 a month business for $10,000 or something like that. Or maybe it's 10x your yearly revenue. So, 12K. So you sell it for 120K or something like that. It's basically just there to facilitate the business transaction, but it's actually a really painful transfer process. So it's basically two people, hey, I want to buy your business. Great. Now let's spend 48 hours figuring out the paperwork and the transfer and switching everything over. So the idea is build your website on the internet computer, put the controller in an NFT. So now the NFT is the only thing that can control the site. Like you can't make updates to it if you don't have access to the controller. So then you could even, if you're like collecting revenue through cycles or through ICP, you could be automatically sticking those in the NFT as well. Like you can have a wrapped NFT that can hold multiple things. Then you could even imagine assets all held in the NFT. Like you can have images, you can have static assets, all as NFTs. It's all like your whole website is just NFTs essentially. Stick it all in one NFT, and then you could just list it on Entrepot and just say, hey, you want to buy my business for 150 ICP or something, and someone could just buy it, and it would be the most efficient business transaction of all time. It'd be like, point and click, and you're done. From a theoretical standpoint, super cool. I haven't touched on the tax or regulatory burdens of doing something like this, which is probably not that exciting, but it's a really interesting idea because ownership transfer is so easy when you have something like an NFT where historically it's very, very hard. So that's one of the NFT affordances that I'm excited to explore more. Let's see, what other one should I hit on?
So just really quickly, I love that idea because right now, if anyone has ever worked in financial services, mergers and acquisitions are a really big topic, obviously, for the industry. But, that process takes months. There's like millions of dollars in fees that are paid out to the banker. So it would be really fascinating to see the first acquisition of a business happen through an NFT vehicle. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, me too. I just don't want to be on the legal team or on the
I know.
Yep. Okay, the other ones, I just posted another one. It's the famous person NFT, which is interesting because I've been talking to a few people about it. So imagine, I don't know, you're an NBA player like Steph Curry or something, and you decide that you want to actually make money directly from your fan base rather than through all the other methods, with a bunch of middlemen, middleman or woman. And so you could issue a personal NFT, and a personal NFT gives you kind of early access to content, gives you discounted merchandise, gives you access to kind of my exclusive online fan community. And maybe there's like a, 1 in 100 chance you get a personal invite to some kind of in-person event or something like that. This kind of personal NFT could be managed from like a, I don't know, like an NBA NFT management kind of platform where it's like part social media and part NFT and part exclusive community. I just think it's a really interesting way to start to either bootstrap an idea or a project or capitalize on, already being famous or having a big fan base directly from the people that care about you and want to support you already. And then there are lots of interesting governance aspects like, hey, I want to release a new thing. Tell me what I should do. And all the people that have NFTs just get to submit ideas and vote. And then, top ideas get vetted. And so lots of interesting ways to tie governance with NFTs, with access and ownership.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of different use cases for that. And, across different industries like sports or like gaming, you see a lot of uproar from fans who are like really mad about what the strategic decisions or changes that people in power have made without really consulting the community or the fan base. So, would be really, really interesting to see NFTs as a mechanism for community decision making going forward. So, we do have a lot of questions in the chat. So, I will end with one question for both Bob and Stephen. So, for both of you, do you have a technical wish list for the internet computer? I.e., is there anything that is constraining you from a technical viewpoint from the internet computer, from executing ideas and concepts that you guys have?
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it's in the roadmap. Intercanister queries, ICP and canister, bridging between other blockchains as well. I'd really like to see a lot more tooling being developed personally. I'd love to see some image-based libraries coming on board where we can actually manipulate images and things like that within Motoko. I think there are already Rust canisters that could potentially do that. Maybe not some that are IC compliant, but some that can be used for that type of stuff. But yeah, we definitely personally, I'd love to see a lot more libraries being built on and worked on via funded developers or just third parties wanting to be involved. So yeah, it's probably one of the biggest things that I can't wait to see coming to the ecosystem and to Motoko.
Thanks, Stephen. And what about you, Bob? Do you have a technical wish list for the internet computer?
Yeah, I think a lot of mine are the same as what Stephen's already mentioned. I think the only one I would add is maybe some additional auto scaling capabilities within subnets or even boundary nodes. I mean, we've seen with IC Punks a really big drop and lots of different services impacted. And also just in general, like if one subnet has a bunch of really highly active applications on it, we've just seen occasional slowdown, and I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's going to continue to grow. And I think the Dfinity team is well aware of this and are planning for it and making changes as appropriate. But that's one of the things that is on my wish list, I guess, is I really just want a subnet to scale to infinity, which I don't know, is maybe a giant wish list item, especially on like the mutation or the right side. But yeah, definitely on the list.
Well, never say never to any of these things. We do have a bunch of upcoming roadmap proposals, like Stephen and Bob had mentioned. So thank you so much to Stephen and Bob. We have a bunch of questions from the community today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with those. So first question to both of you, do you have plans to leverage the Bitcoin and Ethereum integrations for Toniq Labs?
Yeah, definitely. We want to be able to accept both Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ethereum tokens as currencies within Entrepot and potentially future endeavors as well. I think that's the base, the obvious kind of use case. And then eventually doing something with Ethereum NFTs will be really cool to have, like an Ethereum wearable that Chronix can wear as well, or just having some kind of integration between what we're building with NFTs and what's been built before. We could give a Chronic an actual CryptoPunk. It'll be the richest Chronic out there. But yeah, we can't wait for the bridging capabilities to be completed and opened up, and we can start experimenting more.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen. So next question is, when will you launch Stoic Wallet?
It's probably referring to Stoic Wallet. Stephen, do
Yeah,
we
I think. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was something I hadn't heard about before, but Stoic Wallet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm confused because Stoic's already released. Maybe are they talking about the Chronic dashboard? I'm not sure, but the wallet's already been released. We are looking to build a more mobile friendly version in the future, and then the dashboard, the Chronic dashboard, will actually be up very soon.
Cool. And if you're the community member who asked this question, feel free to clarify your question in the chat. So next question, with the various internet computer token standards or approaches that have been proposed, what do you think is the best path forward for token standards?
Yeah, I think continuous, we are a really young ecosystem. We have reached out to Hazel and other developers of separate standards and people who are actually working on NFTs. And the idea is that we all want to kind of support each other's standards, but at the same time, we all need to work on what our standards could look like and the projects that we're building at the moment. So it's really hard, what should people be putting their focus on? Our view is that with our latest development, which is our wrapper technology, which we use to wrap the IC punks with, we could pretty much support any NFT standard to be used within Entrepot. Like if someone wanted to start minting using Departure Labs tools, they can do that. They can then send them over to Entrepot, wrap them, and then sell them on the marketplace. So that's kind of where we are with supporting different standards. But obviously in future, because we can still upgrade some of these canisters and these smart contracts, we have the ability to put stuff out there, allow users to test them and play around with them, and then add additional support or make changes after. So that's kind of the approach we're going with. And yeah, I think as time goes on, we'll slowly see a movement toward a more unified standard, I think.
Thank you, Stephen. So the next thing that was dropped into the Q&A box is a compliment, not a question, but it says, from a community member in China, you must be angels building a perfect heaven on the internet computer. It's a nice thing to say. So next question is Toniq Labs hiring?
Definitely, we definitely want to take on developers. Like I said, we are going through a seed round, finishing our incorporation and founding the new company, and things like that. We've brought on a couple of new hires as well that we'll start announcing in the coming week. But yeah, once we've kind of finalized all of those, the next focus will be getting developers on the tools. Yeah, so if anyone's interested, definitely reach out. I'm not too bad to work with. I don't think I can kind of go start building my own kind of side projects like I did with the dashboard. And you might not hear from me for days, but it'll be a fun experience. I'm sure we'll all have fun. So yeah, reach out if you're interested in working with us.
There's already quite a few people in the chat saying they want to be hired by Toniq Labs. So next question, when do you think the first token launch on the IC will take place? And is Toniq Labs building anything to help projects with that?
Yeah, so we're doing an NFT sale in October, so users can actually start buying the remaining supply of Generation Zero Chronics in a way that is essentially a sale. It isn't for like a fungible token. But yeah, so I think we'll be one of the first NFT sales. There may be some prior to that. We're not too caught up on who's first or who's second. Like it's an ecosystem that we were all wanting to build and be part of. So yeah, I haven't really heard of many people wanting to do like ICOs and things like that, or IDOs, or whatever the 3-letter acronym is this year. But yeah, we haven't got plans in the short term to work on things like that, but that would be part of what we want to build with our NFT and our general token platform named Exponent. So yeah, I think we will start leaning toward those types of things in future.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm just noticing that we have like 30 questions, so I'm going to try my best to steer us through all of them. So next question. At the moment, when I play Rise of the Magni with a friend, she tells me when she makes a move, but it still takes a lot of time before the move is shown to me, and she only lives 2 miles away. When can we expect a better response time with this awesome on-chain game?
Yeah, so it's a bit, it's kind of how it works because we want everything to flow through our canisters so we can verify every move that a player makes. So actually, even though you only live, a couple of miles away from each other, your request is actually being sent to a canister, then it's waiting for consensus, and then it's being pulled back down from the other player who receives your action, and that's kind of like the process. So it does take a couple of seconds. I think as the finalization times within the IC blockchain starts to decrease, and we come up with better kind of communication methods and models, because at the moment we just poll for an answer, which means we just sit there and we just ask the canister if there's an update yet. It's not the best kind of approach, and we hope we can have more of a push response. So as soon as a response gets to the server, we can be updated immediately, except instead of waiting to ask again. So yeah, I think as we continue to develop things, and as the IC continues to develop as well, things like that would definitely get faster.
Great. So the next question is for Bob specifically. So love from Leahy, Utah. I hope I said that right. Please let them know how grateful we are for their hard work. We're looking forward to mass adoption here locally. Much appreciation from the beautiful state of Utah. For Bob, can I be one of your first ambassadors in the state of Utah? We'll make sure chronic critters are recognized across college campuses, including BYU and U of U.
Know that we have official Tonic ambassadors yet, but it sounds like a really, really good idea. So definitely ping me and let's chat about that, because yeah, definitely interesting. And yes, much love to Utah.
Cool. Thank you for that, Bob. Next question. Is there a time frame for users minting NFTs themselves on Entrepot?
Sorry, lost the mute button. Yeah, so we are building tools to allow for that. We have a tool that we use internally, which we utilize to mint all the collections that we do at the moment. It's all about just kind of wrapping that up, making it look usable, getting rid of all the errors and things like that before we can have an official tool for users to start minting with. Our ETA is probably, we're talking probably a month plus, just because we're focusing at the moment on chronics. Obviously, as we take some more hires in, we can start delegating some of these tasks to them as well. But yeah, it's definitely on the roadmap.
Thank you, Stephen. So next question. I make math art using Desmos graphing calculator, and I produce music with Ableton Live. Is it possible to integrate files/data structures from these with the internet computer in terms of interactivity and intercomposability? Sorry if this is obvious, I am a programming noob.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. We actually really want to start playing around with some interesting projects like that, especially some that have more interactivity. We want to move away from just static images. We want to start playing around with video, or even other forms that can be displayed to an end user. That could be quite interesting. There's a lot of potential with the IC. So I'd say anyone who has, an out there kind of idea that's totally different to what's currently being done, to definitely get in touch. We definitely want to see what we can do to work with that type of project, and I think we could do some really cool things.
Thanks, Steve. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, definitely possible to stick music files and math graphs together with interactivity on the internet computer in an NFT. Definitely possible and awesome sounding.
Yeah, no, definitely. Next question is a little bit of a spicy one, keeping things interesting. Are there any potential disadvantages of EXT? And also the person said, keep healthy while you guys are staying busy.
Yeah, I think there's probably reasons why you shouldn't use something like EXT. We are modeled after Ethereum's ERC 1155. That's the kind of standard they use with well, it's developed by Engine.io, who run an NFT platform as well. I think time will tell. The EXT standards got quite a lot of bloat in it to allow for more advanced contracts and canisters and NFT tokens and things like that. So something, if you wanted to just put out like a real basic kind of token that just has the ability to transfer, to get what tokens you own, and to get the balance of each one, EXTs are probably a bit overkill. But the idea is that we want it to be an extendable token standard, so you could actually start with like a real simple base, and that could be pretty good for what you want to use it for. And then it could also be used for a larger project like something like Chronix, where you can add in all of these different extensions and add additional code and additional cores to, based on your specific project and your use case. We haven't really done much around that, so a lot of what EXT looks like is a real heavy looking bloated kind of standard, but something we want to circle back and start working on is smaller type of canisters that don't need all that code to run it, and start doing some examples like that. So that's probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons why you may choose to use something else. There's definitely, we do things a bit differently to a lot of others, and we kind of focus on working with account identifiers, which is like your address, whereas other standards are just wanting to support a principal ID, and I understand their point of view with that as well. But yeah, so there's definitely, I do understand some reservations that people may have, but hopefully in future we can kind of show why we think it's still a good standard to use, and the ability to extend it and to use it across a wide range of different types of applications. But in the end, we more want to push for a standardized interface between tokens, between the different token standards, so that regardless of how you build your canisters, we can all use, it's kind of like a standardized interface.
Thank you, Stephen. So next question, how are you thinking about security? Ethereum projects put a lot of emphasis on audits and other security precautions.
Yeah, I think auditing needs to start coming to the IC as well. I know that some recent projects have had some holes with the canister code, which led to all sorts of issues. So something I'm really mindful of. I totally understand the difference between like an Ethereum contract and an IC smart canister when it comes to how it works atomically or with the whole atomicity aspect of it. So we're able to go through and ensure that our code, we don't have any kind of holes in that regard. But yeah, we'd love to see some people standing up security companies or auditing companies on the IC, and I wouldn't know how that would look or what it would look like. I've worked with some in the past for other projects, and because it's going back to the fact that we're only 4 or 5 months old now, 5 months old, well, no, 4 months, well, it's probably going to be hard to find a company who's actually able to audit this type of stuff reliably. But yeah, I do think that's one of the next steps, and we'll start seeing growth in that sector in the coming years.
Thank you, Stephen. So next question, do you guys think that the ICP will be known more as a structure for building dApps or as a railway for a new internet?
Personally, I think it would be, Yeah, I'm not too sure actually. Like the IC is so different to a lot of the blockchains I've worked with in the past. It's kind of got like it leans more towards infrastructure, while still providing like, a software level type platform as well. What are your thoughts, Bob?
Yeah, definitely an abstract question. I'm not sure the right metaphor for the internet computer right now, although I did have someone draw my Twitter banner. So if you click on my Twitter banner and you stare at it for like 5 minutes, you'll start to see all of these really cool internet computer connections, especially if you like zoom in and look really closely. That's probably my ideal metaphor for the internet computer right now.
I really like that. It's like one of those like abstract paintings where if you like look at it from like a certain angle from far away, you see like an image start to emerge from the pattern. That's really interesting. So next question, how do you both, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to hit the question before. Will Entrepot change to port? So there've been some talks about changing the name of Entrepot. Kind of hard to pronounce, kind of hard to remember at first. So some people suggested IC port, which is short, easy to remember. And we were thinking maybe we would change. So we did a little community survey, and Entrepot tends to grow on people over time. So we had 5 or 10 kind of our core community all say, nah, we kind of want Entrepot now. We don't want to change it. So right now we're sitting in a place where, yeah, it might be a little hard to remember, but I think it's kind of growing on people. So no plans to change the name of Entrepot for now.
I do have a confession. When I first heard the name Entrepot, I didn't know if it was I'm not a French speaker, by the way. I didn't know if it was a play on words on like entrecote, which is like a French steak. So that's also why I like that name.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks all for that. So next question, how do you intend on engaging artists?
I'll take this one too, Stephen. We have one more exciting announcement, saved it for the very end for those of you who stuck in the call the whole way. If you know Easy Steve or Steve Erickson, he's also joining Toniq Labs as a key hire. He's joining as Chief Marketing Officer, CMO. And so we're really, really excited about all of the things that he's done. And the reason I bring it up with this question is in terms of engaging artists, putting together really easy ways to onboard creators and provide kind of technical tooling for creators and giving them a way to take what they love and do best and stick it onto our technical tooling. It's a pretty awesome win-win, I think. So that's what we're doing on that front. Easy, Steve.
Cool. That's so awesome. The gang's all together. So next question, can you hire more front-end devs?
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely need some more front-end devs. Yeah, we need to put a focus on UI and UX and mobile development as well. So it's definitely on the list. People can probably tell I'm not a front-end developer.
Awesome. So I know that we're close to time. So one final question for you both. What do you guys have planned for IC Punks and the NFT space on ICP with ETH gas prices rising? It might be a good idea to get more projects on the internet computer. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. +1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say we've seen a lot of demand, lots of interesting projects, lots of interesting ideas, and we're putting together tooling for these projects as much as building as fast as we can. But really excited. If you're a creator, if you're an artist, feel free to reach out. We have a form you can fill out. And then, we're slotting projects in as fast as we can manage on the technical side. So.
Awesome. So we are just at time. So Stephen and Bob, thank you so much for coming on Community Conversations. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you both. And for the rest of the crowd, see you at a next community conversation. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Yeah, thank you for having us.